Why didn't they tell the community that there was someone running around killing girls?
They said, he's only killing hookers.
You get this car? You ain't coming out. You ain't coming unless you did.
Lonnie's a good guy. What do you want? What do you want to know? Lonnie was a good guy to
me. His neighbors.
And this is a close-knit block?
This is a close block.
Very close-knit.
And if you ever need anything, you just tell him, and he'll get it for you. Don't ask questions, just know he got it for you. However he got it, we never knew.
He did not steal cars. He dealt in stolen cars.
He was heavily into women.
So what? He was into women. A lot of people into women. What do? Go to the police and say, hey, this man into women.
Before Lonnie Franklin's arrest, many people in the community believed the police themselves were involved. A police officer, Ricky Ross, was arrested for the murders, but released for lack of evidence.
They did not put out a sketch because eyewitness sketches are not that reliable. I said, ooh, can I use you as an expert witness in my criminal defense cases where my clients are victims based on eyewitness sketches? Because, strangely, they're super reliable then.
Just because they have Lonnie doesn't mean this is over with. Before the arrest was made of Lonnie Franklin, we were actually out in his neighborhood. We were leafleting around there. And the interesting thing about it is that it was shocking how many people who lived in the neighborhood knew nothing about any serial murders. They just didn't know. How is this possible? There's, very few communities outside of a black or brown community in the city of Los Angeles that could have happened. Where you have that number of women, if you have these people killed and people who live practically around the corner don't know anything about it, that's unconscionable. I'm telling you, back in the 1980s, we had a count of 90 women. Only 18 of them were on the books. What happened to the rest of them? Are some of them in these photos? Or if they're not in these photos, where are they?
Poor and indigenous women have been particularly targeted. Not only have the local police made no effort to solve the cases, they appear to be complicit in the murders. Human rights organizations and activists have noted their failure to seriously investigate the cases. The general response of the police to these murders is to blame the victims by arguing that they are sex workers or lesbians and hence inherently rapeable.
These are women who were black. They were poor. Some of them were involved in the criminal justice system. Some of them were substance abusers. Some of them worked in the sex trade. Each one of those factors independently makes those women less likely to be believed. You put them all together, and you basically have open season on these particular women. And that's precisely what happened.
How many times have you been convicted of receiving stolen property, sir?
Probably around 4 or 5 times.
How about GTA? Grand theft vehicle or auto?
Around five times.
How about battery?
Battery? Two times.
How about assault with force likely to produce great bodily injury? Have you also been convicted of that?
It's a possibility, yes.
How many times?
Once.
How about false imprisonment, sir?
False imprisonment? Once.
When we look at questions of violence against women, we know black women are more likely to be raped. We know black women are less likely to have their rapists charged. We know that when they are charged, their rapists are less likely to be convicted. And we know when they are convicted, and you can only imagine what a case looks like when someone is convicted of raping a black woman, the average sentence they get is 2 years as opposed to 10. For a white woman. So we know we've got to talk about the fact that we do have a movement against gender-based violence, but the question is that movement against gender-based violence sensitive to the racial differences, the class differences that different women confront?
Many of the survivors, or women who found Lonnie to be aggressive, did not talk to the police and still do not wish to do so, most likely out of distrust and fear to find themselves in trouble for drugs or prostitution instead of being heard.
Finally, I want to say to the press and also any officials, please stop referring to these victims as prostitutes. They were women, they were mothers, they were loved by their families and their communities. Imagine a young child turning on the television and hearing their mothers being maligned in this way. So please treat them with that kind of respect, the same respect that that young woman who got killed in Aruba got. These women who are black from South LA deserve the same kind of respect. So I'd like to thank everybody for bringing something.
African American women have been victimized by race, gender, and class oppression. But portraying black women solely as passive, unfortunate recipients of racial and sexual abuse stifles notions that black women can actively work to change our circumstances and bring about changes in our lives. Similarly, presenting African American women solely as heroic figures who easily engage in resisting oppression on all fronts minimizes the very real costs of oppression and can foster the perception that black women need to help because we can take it.
We've been saying the first thing you can do about it is say her name. Do not allow her death to happen in silence. Do not allow their children, their loved ones to grieve for them in silence. Do not affirm the belief that their lives are insignificant. If we can simply begin to say their names, the invisibility that shrouds their loss will no longer legitimize what happened to them, will be the footstool, the first step. The movement begins when we simply say her name. Thank you.
I didn't try to rob you. I didn't set you up. I didn't do any of that. Yeah, I was out there. But it doesn't mean I'm nothing. It doesn't mean I'm nothing. Like I'm a piece of trash. I was trapped. I was trapped. That's not what I wanted. That's not the life I wanted.